Today's shout out is for Zuldinga. Thrun versus Rograkh and Ardenn. We've got some fast mana to start landing commander damage on our opponent pretty quickly, so we will keep. Okay, and our opponent not getting rid of our mana vault on turn 1, so that's good. Draw into a forest. So drop the forest and go for Thrun, Breaker of Silence, Sword of the Animist from the partner player, followed by Rograkh, Son of Rograkh. We do have trample on our commander, so not too worried about that. And we draw into another land. So just go straight through to combat on our opponent. Our indestructible Thrun should get straight through for 5 commander damage. And then we'll likely just equipping up the Blackblade Reforged next turn. +1/+1 for each land we control and 3 to equip. Okay, with the Sword of the Animist I was thinking this might be a casual deck, but our opponent throws out a Lotus Petal, a Chrome Mox which does have Metalcraft, and then an Ardenn. They didn't put Sword of the Animist onto anything there. They'll have another chance to do it next turn. Alright, there's a Bear Umbra for us, so yeah, I think we're fine to go for the Bear Umbra. We can miss out on a little bit of damage here for the sake of mana efficiency. So we've got a 7/7 commander here, which is protected against board wipes at this point. And then when we swing in, it untaps all the lands we control, ready for an equip of the Blackblade Reforged at the second main phase. Our opponent goes up to 12 commander damage. And now the Blackblade Reforged onto our commander. And that will give it a big buff, taking it up to an 11/11. Will be a 12/12 next turn after we drop a land. So we are very much threatening commander damage next turn. We've got pro-green though. There is a Sword of Body and Mind. And now we see a Kedis Emberclaw Familiar. Yeah, that's a multiplayer commander, a multiplayer card, so maybe our opponent's just testing it in the multiplayer or in the 1v1 room. Anyway, everything being equipped up to the Rograkh, Son of Rograkh. So we are going to get milled here, and they are going to make a token. I think they could have survived another turn if they'd gone for protection onto one of their creatures, so they could have blocked. Anyway, we draw into the Swiftfoot Boots, which I don't think really matters. We'll throw out the land, and we're at a 12/12 now. I suppose I should have thrown out the creature and the Swiftfoot Boots, because we're about to untap everything anyway. But they decide to not block anyway. Our opponent graciously takes it and goes to 24 points of commander damage. They did have 5 points of toughness to block with there, but decided to just take it. The writing's on the wall apparently. Up against your Henny this time, and we do have fast mana again, but only 1 land. We're on the draw, so we could risk that, or we could just play another game. Okay, up against Atla Palani this time, and again a 1-lander, which, yeah, that would otherwise be a good hand. We're on the play, so definitely mulligan that. Okay, get back into the mana vault. Means of card draw in our hand. Maybe get rid of Raised by Giants in that one. So we just make the exact same play as last turn, ready for a turn 2 Thrun. Just hope our opponent doesn't get rid of the mana vault. But luckily our opponent just going for a tapped tri-land there, so we can definitely go for the Thrun once again. So the mana vault deals 1 damage to us. We draw into the O-Stone. Ancestral Mask won't give any buffs at the moment, because it's for each other enchantment on the battlefield, so we'll just go for the Hunter's Insight and draw some more cards here. So Hunter's Insight onto our commander, and we will hit for 5 commander damage and draw 5 cards. Gets us into the fast mana. We're being pretty lucky during this play session apparently. So play that now so that we don't have to discard to hand size. Seeing a Captain Lannery Storm now, our opponent can start ramping straight away, and he does. Captain Lannery Storm hitting us for 2 and making a treasure token. Could go for untapping the mana vault here, and then we could play the Ancient Animus and fight the Lannery Storm out of the way. Not necessarily against that, to be honest. So we will untap the mana vault. Draw into a Primal Might, another fight card. Yeah, we'll go for Ancient Animus, and then we can put a plus counter on our commander. Force commander damage through much faster. So now 6 commander damage. We are going to land on our opponent, put them at 11 in total. Then if our opponent doesn't get a blocker down next turn, we could go for a massive buff on the Primal Might and maybe get them next turn. But they do get down the Atla Palani. We've obviously got an answer for that. So we'll continue to give our opponent a headache, I think. Another land for us, so drop that. We'll go Song of the Dryads onto the Atla Palani, and then Ancestral Mask we'll buff our commander by +2/+2, thanks to us having another enchantment in play. Actually could have, I'm trying not to tap down the Mana Vault unless we need to, could have gone for the Primal Might there and buffed our commander enough to get our opponent. Obviously just giving our opponent another shot at doing something about us here. Alright, our opponent had a Slice in Twain, so able to blow up the enchantment and debuff our commander. They got down a bounce land as well, so it's funny, they could have bounced their commander back to hand, but obviously this is a more mana efficient way of doing things. We're winning next turn anyway. The Primal Might gets their commander out of the way and buffs our commander enough to definitely push damage through. We only need 2 more points of commander damage. Pretty one-sided one, so we'll play again. Up against Gyrus this time, and that is slower, but we do have a 2-lander. Yeah, it's considerably slower. We'll try it. We've had some fast games. Up against a patron of the channel as well here, so yeah, I get all the different usernames mixed up because people have a username on Magic Online, one on Discord, a different one on Patreon, and etc. and so forth. But yeah, happy to play against my opponent here, get down the tap land in, and ready for an Emerald Medallion next turn most likely. Alright, and there's a Nature's Claim, ready for any fast mana our opponent could surprise us with. Get out the Emerald Medallion. Then we see a Jeweled Lotus. I'll be glad to see if this actually works, because Jeweled Lotus hasn't been working for a while. It looks like it is fixed now, so I'll be able to add it to this deck. Yep, so Jeweled Lotus fixed, and Gyrus, Walker of Corpses, back into play. And we just draw into a Snake Umbra. Here's where we start struggling on mana, apparently. Could hold our opponent off with a Berserk and try and encourage them to not attack in at us, but that's only going to save us for a turn, I think. Utopia Sprawl onto the Overgrown Tomb. Our opponent doing a better job of ramping than us by quite a long stretch. And then a Liliana of the Veil, so yeah, definitely going to do better than us this game. Target player sacks a creature, not really bothered about losing the Allosaurus Shepherd, to be honest. I will go for the Berserk onto this thing though. Alright, managing to hold my opponent back. See if we can get into a land. We can. Not going to do too much of anything with it though. Can just have the Greater Good in play, I suppose, and hopefully we'll be able to get down our commander next turn. Now Liliana is going to plus and have us discard. We'll just get rid of the Snake Umbra here, because I think the buff on the Blanchwood armor is going to be relevant. Our opponent gets rid of Survival of the Fittest. And then it is Thorn of the Black Rose. It took forever for this to come out on Magic Online, but good to see it finally here. And we take our first 5 points of commander damage. Our opponent obviously has become the Monarch here, so ends the turn with 2 cards in hand. And there is the land we needed, so get down our Thrun. We did see the means of resisting Edict effects against our opponents during one of the previous games. Obviously didn't need it there, but could do with drawing into it now. A Green Sun Zenith, where X is 5 for our opponent. And that is an Acidic Slime, so our opponent's likely going to get rid of the Liliana of the Veil. It's tempting to force them to do that. I don't think we're going to have our Thrun survive here anyway, so we might as well just draw some cards while we can. Don't think we're going to do anything this game anyway. So we can show off our opponent's deck at least. Okay, an O-Stone could be useful. So get rid of Nature's Claim, Blanchwood Armor, and a Forest. And then reanimate onto the Allosaurus Shepherd. We are being forced to discard a card, so that will have to be the Forest. And then taking another 6 damage, including a total of 10 commander damage. And they draw another card to the Monarch. Okay, Hunter's Prowess will drop a land. Definitely get down the O-Stone and hope our opponent doesn't have removal for it, because we can go for the sacrifice and blow everything up next turn. Taking 5 more points of commander damage. And our opponent throwing down another land. I don't think he's missed a single land drop yet. Yeah, it's one of those games our opponent just has everything. 0 cards in hand, but a Terrastodon can get rid of the O-Stone. So we'll just pass the turn over to our opponent a few times and wait for our ultimate demise. Sacking an elephant to the Lily. Just for the fun of it, we'll try and go wide on our opponent here, because we did just draw into a Hunter's Insight, so we lose at least one of these to the Terrastodon, but they decide to block with a Death Toucher, so trading us 1 creature and we lose out on the other ones. So the Gyrus entering the attacking zone again. So our opponent swings in with everything, knocks us down to 7 and 20 points of commander. Yeah, our opponent can't miss in this deck. A Renin 6, followed by a Dark Confident. Ticking up on Lily has us discard. We'll likely just pass through our next turn really quickly and let our opponent finish us. Dark Confident reveals a Phyrexian Dragon Engine. Our opponent casts an Unmarked Grave, throwing a Somberwald Beastmaster in the bin. And Gyrus is pointed at the card that they just tutored for, so making a token copy of that, enters with a bunch of other tokens. And that's us done. Say good game to our opponent. Thank you for being a patron, and thank all of you for watching as well. I think we got some good games there from either perspective. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.